Hi, welcome to Advent of Refactoring Day 14. Today, tomorrow and the day after, we're going to be looking at 3 refactorings which can solve some of the same problems, and all 3 of which have some advantages and some disadvantages. All 3 of which can be used to create much more complicated problems than you started with, so be careful with them. We have here a React component, display some event thing, has a form which it displays, some success and error messages, and then a button which actually submits the form. Here's the function that calls when you submit the form. Set the saving to is saving to true, so it stops the button being double clicked. Clear any error or success messages, post the data to the API. If the response is okay, then it's going to do some more bits and pieces with it, send some analytics, set a success message. If there's any errors, then it'll display some error messages. And then finally at the end it clears the is saving. So nothing too complicated and quite linear, step by step, going through doing what needs to be done. But not very reusable, and a lot of the form posting stuff is all mixed up together with the stuff that's outside it. So it's like very interlinked, very meshed together. Now say we've got a task which is to create a draft button. So save draft, and we need to somehow do something like most of this almost exactly the same, but just with a few tweaks. Like we need to change the labels inside some and say like draft saved, stuff like that. We don't want to copy and paste the entire thing because that's like loads of duplication, and yeah, it just seems messy. So we want to figure out how can we reuse a lot of this stuff. So what we're going to do is just wrap this whole function in a new function itself. So we'll start off with a new function called async function save clicked, and end the function and format everything. So we just put all of this stuff inside here for now. And at the end we can then say await post data to API payload. And yeah, this is going to take payload as well, isn't it? There we go. So save has been clicked and it's going to do all of that stuff there. So then we just rename this one as save clicked, and it's going to be the same as save clicked for now. We need to now extract as much of this as we can outside of this somehow. So what we can do is we can get this stuff here, these bits here, and we're going to refactor that to a new function inside save clicked. So you can choose where it's going to go, and we're going to call this one before post. So we've now got a function called before post that we're calling there. Then once it's got data and everything's okay, then this stuff here, we can grab that, do the same thing again, refactor that, and outside to an inner function inside save clicked, and we call this one on success. And then this bit here, we can just replace these two, I think. We could do like the same refactoring there, but what we can do here is just we'll say on error, and this one as well, on error. Now let's remove some of that stuff there we don't need. So we've now got these functions being called. We've extracted them here, and the last one on error message, which is going to be then set error message. So we've now got 3 external pieces of function here that are then calling all of this one. Those 3 functions, we could then pass them into here if we were careful. So let's do that. Let's add a new object in there. We're going to have before post, on success, and on error. That means now this whole function here doesn't need to be in the same scope as there. We can put that up there, just outside of scope of that one function. And then here, we can pass in these three functions here. Let's stick that at the bottom just so that the ordering makes a bit more sense, and reformat things. Then here, we'll pass in those three on success, on error, and before post. So we've passed our three functions in on save clicked. So now we've separated out the actions that should happen around the thing from the function itself. So this function is posting data to the API. It doesn't need to know anything about the rest of the page. It gets past these callbacks and then it handles all of the stuff there. That means we can then copy this if we want to, paste it, and then save draft clicked, save draft clicked, then save draft clicked. It doesn't know anything about like how the function actually is saving the data. We can just change the success message to draft saved. We don't need to do the analytics for saving drafts, so remove that. And otherwise it's pretty much the same. So there's still a bit of duplication between the two, but it's a lot less messy. If you wanted to separate it out again, because it is just data, these functions now, we could, if we wanted to, grab these functions here, move them out to there, and then say const default save callbacks equals, there we go. Now let's move that one out there as well, shall we? And we can change these, so change these into the object style. I think there's another shortcut you can use instead of this, isn't there? There we go. So we've now got like a default save callbacks, and the on save can then call the can just pass in those default save callbacks like that. And this one here, where we've got the draft saved, those two are exactly the same, but the other one isn't. So we could then do default save callbacks, pass in on success, make that the sort of default for the thing. So there we've now separated out. So we've got our save clicked and draft save clicked, and mostly they're exactly the same. And you only have here the information that's different between the two. So today's refactoring then was separating out pieces of functions into callbacks, and it definitely can be abused. There's definitely times when you don't want to do this, and there's definitely times when library authors have done it and they really shouldn't have done. But it's a refactoring, and it's an interesting one. Thanks for watching.